Just in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Emma, if you're watching this, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah. He's stressed out,
I'm dying inside.
but we love him.
He needs sleep. We need sleep.
We all do. It's too much all at once. Can't we just make a movie instead of having to make a movie and do a bunch of other things? Let's just make a movie.
Pray for us.
Let's just do that.
Pray.
Because we need a lot of money. I don't know where it's gonna come from.
He wants 20 freaking grand.
I'm digging as many wells as I can, but you can only strike water so many times before the groundwater is depleted.
I want to live to see 20.
Me too. And that's before principal photography.
Pre-production. It's gonna kill us first. Just kidding.
It's crazy in a lot of ways. Like, so much has changed since 2018 when we first shot Rubaru.
Yeah, I don't think we would have made Rubaru the same way had we been upperclassmen at the time. I mean, we all came into school that fall 2017. Most of us on Rubaru were freshmen at the time. Marco came in as a transfer. We knew sort of how to run a set. We sort of knew what the crew positions were. We all kind of practiced and dabbled a little bit. But I mean, we didn't know how to make a movie.
It's really incredible what we managed to do back then, because now in 2022, working in the film industry on professional shoots, and seeing how actual shoots are run and shoots with budgets, I really think a lot back to those Rubaru days of when we really didn't have that much money. We had experience, but very limited film experience.
We didn't know about E&O insurance or really what a call sheet looked like, let alone a call sheet for the 20 days in a row. But we had that creative energy, and we were all just so gung-ho to just dive in the deep end, and we did, and splashed frantically.
And we still made a feature, and it's
crazy how far the story has come. Hope you enjoy the ride.
The gear we had access to, the resources, the studio space, there was really not going to be another chance like this to make a project for this production quality level for the amount of money we could realistically do it with. Very quickly, we realized we needed to pull a crew together. We weren't going to do this with just a few people. We actually needed gaffers and grips and sound people and camera people. So we put out a wide crawl across the film department, and we got a lot of response right away.
Why I stuck to what I did was approaching my friends who may have been younger than me, but had a lot more heart, a lot more passion. Because it would take people who just simply had the energy to do it and to fight through the obstacles and odds to really make a feature film as freshmen. Most of my crew ultimately ended up being 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. But getting Andy to sign on was one of the big hurdles. The next big hurdle was getting Rebecca.
Marco was very gracious that he accepted a lot of feedback with the script, because there was a couple things I was like, I'm not sure how this will be conveyed to an audience, like visually. So we talked a lot about like certain elements of the script, like not just the visual elements, but also just the structure of it or dialogue. And we worked together a lot, just strengthening the story. And then actually getting into the shot list was a lot of fun, because a lot of times I'd read through the script and then I'd just sit with a scene for a while and I'd think in my head like how it was playing out, and sometimes I do little sketches of like, this is what the frame would be, this is what the camera movement would be, and then I continue on to the next scene. And so we had like different like reference images that he'd found or that I'd found online, and we'd like share them back and forth, and we just spent a lot of time just talking about like the first third of the script and then like another third of the script and then the last third of the script.
So along with approaching Rebecca and Andy, I also approached Emily Tkach, who was our production designer on the film, and just asked her if she was interested. Again, approaching an underclassman who has such a beautiful eye for animation, but also for visual color.
The first thing we talked about was color and how you wanted to establish a color language for each character. And that was really important to you, and that made me really excited because I love color, and it was really fun for me then to think about, okay, who is each character and what color goes along with that characteristic. And so for Charles, we ended up picking blues and cooler tones, whereas for Elizabeth, we picked oranges and warmer yellows, browns, colors like that, and kept them each in their distinct area for most of the film.
At our max, we had about 30 people on the project. By that point, we had marketing up, we had social media, a website, promo videos. Marco had storyboarded most of the film. Our DP, Rebecca, was finally on the project. And things were moving, but not moving quite fast enough. And in May, we had to go home, many of us.
It was Andy who asked me to be on the film. I mentioned that I was going to be staying at Biola over the summer, and so he asked if I would be interested in helping out on a feature film that he was working on in August, in which I was already a little bit familiar with Rubaru at the time. So I said, hey, I'm already gonna be here. I don't have a class in August, why not? So that's how it started. I helped build some of the flats for the set. Went to Home Depot, helped pick out the lumber and all that fun stuff.
Okay. How many do we need?
There's only $2. Let's get however many we can, and then
Seth and I had conversations. Emily and I had conversations. Rebecca and I had conversations. And everyone got together and said, help. Marco wants this crazy design, and it's not gonna work. What do we do? I remember pulling up multiple different Google images of apartments and kind of designing my own and showing it to them. And Seth more or less politely said, no, this will not work, and redesigned it to what we have today. That, of course, gave Rebecca and Emily the chance to talk about where will practical lights be? Where is a window going to be, so that Seth and I could build it. We spent many trips going to Home Depot, getting supplies, getting tools, selecting the wood, the door frames. We're building it, yeah.
Okay, I think we're good.
Yep. My name is not just dangerous.
It's not dangerous.
Cool.
Just one side.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
No, get off my set.
Okay, so. One's
Does it
done.
need to be pushed against it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't show the story. Alright, let's flip this over.
Yeah.
I get that when it comes around to this end.
Our first flat is done.
Yeah.
Now it's done. Cool. Cool. There you go.
Yeah.
Alright, my job's done.
And now he goes home. No, stop, come back, come back.
I was in North Carolina. Our other producer, Zach, was in Seattle. Marco and Ellie were in LA. Emily was in San Diego and then Cambridge, England for a lot of the summer. We were in 4 different time zones. It got complicated really fast.
I did pretty much a little bit of everything. I helped pick up props at EcoSet. That was great.
Which is a resource up in North Hollywood and Glendale where it's free for students, for independent filmmakers to just come and get free crap. And this is, I'm talking about carpeting, I'm talking about linoleum, basically everything you saw in the film. Okay, I won't say everything, but most things in the apartment came from EcoSet.
And it was just Marco and I going to EcoSet, and we got a big old truck from U-Haul, and we drove down to EcoSet, picked up a bunch. We picked up a refrigerator, a ton of like house set tech stuff.
Thousands upon thousands of dollars of essentially donated material to them that ultimately blessed us.
So yeah, like a table and chairs. We got a lot of fantastic stuff that really helped make the film look great.
I've never casted for this big of a project before. Andy and I had a conversation before putting up the casting notice, kind of what kind of content do we want to put up, what kind of descriptions for character breakdowns. And I posted on Backstage, one of the partners that Biola has, they allow students to post for free their projects, and was very gracious to post ours as well. And within hours, we had over 100 people apply for both the roles of Elizabeth and Charles. And by the end of the audition period, we've had over 300 people for each role for Elizabeth or Charles apply. And my mind was just blown. These are actors who were not going to get paid. They were going to get fed a copy of the film and a copy of an IMDb credit, and that's it. I was blown away by the amount of people. It's just staggering.
It was so much fun helping with casting because I'd never done that before. I had mostly relied on that old film student standby, asking your roommates or your friends if they could act in your projects. Actually working with Backstage and calling in actors to audition in person, recording how to properly slate the actors. It was all a lot of fun seeing that side of the process.
The first person who actually auditioned for me in person was Nathan.
It was very nerve-wracking. I mean, I'd read the sides of the project, I've read the breakdown of the project, and it was a very heavy topic, and that was one thing that went into preparing for my audition and walking into the audition room.
Yep. All right.
Okay, go ahead. Say your name.
I'm Nathan Mitzi, and I'll be reading for the role of
It was
Charles.
very, very nerve-wracking, and I didn't know if I had what it took to bring that character to life, but I was definitely going to do my best and try as much as I could.
Great. Well, what do you do? Fantastic. Thank you. I care for you deeply. I want the chance to pursue you and learn more about you. In your eyes, I see life, fire, passion, conviction, and resolve for the things you care about. You know when it's time for joking and time for seriousness. Elizabeth, I'm not a perfect guy. Even when I try my hardest, I may let you down and fail you, but wherever you go, wherever your future may take you, I want to go with you. Will you let me?
Stop there. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm going to read for you very briefly.
Definitely.
This is where Charles is emotional. This is one of the climax of the story.
Okay.
Let's see where we would start here. Yeah, basically, just give it to me as raw as possible. Just straight through the dialogue. Don't worry about the action.
Okay.
All of this is his narration this entire film. He's giving the audience essentially a sneak peek into his last will and testament. He's writing a suicide letter through his narration. So this is that last bit. This is that last hump before he acknowledges that he's home. Because no one loves him anymore. So from here, let's get to here, and then just this bit here, and then that's it.
Cool.
You would choose me here, and that's it. Just show me the brokenness as much as you can. And just give me your range. Take a few seconds to look through.
When I walked out of that audition, I'm like, I blew it. They're not going to give me a call again. This is over. I really appreciated the shot, and I was like, that's it. Maybe they'll bring me in for another audition next time.
I'm Brooks Freitag. and I'm auditioning for the role of Charles.
Hi, my name is Thomas Farrell, and I'm auditioning for the role of Charles.
Tired of always giving. Everyone takes advantage of me. I'm alone. Elizabeth. I am sorry I broke this promise to you.
Well, we had, for the most part, the performances were all very good, and each actor would bring something a little bit different to the role. But a lot of them were, especially the good ones, were fairly similar, especially for Elizabeth. It was hard to choose. There were so many really talented actresses who auditioned.
But I want to say on day 3 of auditions, I got a very serious phone call from my mom saying, your sister just hit her head. She's going to the hospital. And this is in the middle of, in between 2 auditions coming in. I was so distracted and so torn because I want to be there for my family, but I'm in California, they're in Texas. Making a project like this, I had to remain professional. I had to clear my head. So I excused myself to the bathroom and just fell on my knees and wept before God and gave it to him. And I was like, I can't deal with this right now. She's in your hands and I need to focus on casting. And I came back in, did another few auditions, and I got a text message saying everything's okay so far. Just keep her in prayer. And the next couple of days she was okay. But these are the real problems that face independent filmmakers, and specifically people just in general, that life comes in contact and can affect a film, but do you step aside and let it derail the film, or do you keep going? And it was a very hard but good lesson to learn.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sawyer, and I'm auditioning for the role of Elizabeth.
Again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So this one is hard.
Okay.
It's a little more challenging. What happened here is your Thanksgiving dinner. Your dad literally just exploded across the dinner table telling your husband that you're done. No more. Get out of my daughter's life. Say goodbyes. So that's where that takes place. So you're torn because you love your family.
Hi, my name is Matthew Rhodes, and I'm reading for the role of Dane.
This unspoken rage from Dane finally exploded over the dinner table.
Charles, I don't want you around my family anymore.
Hi, my name is Caitlin O'Connell, and I'm reading for the part of Emma.
Hi, I'm Sherry Efris, reading for the role of Cassandra.
My name is Richard Wilson, and I'm reading for the role of the landlord.
I did rehearsals. Cannot stress to enough, independent filmmakers, do rehearsals, because that will change the quality of your film, but also the speed in which you're able to film.
What the hell are you talking about? Paul the Bros?
Put me on the
Like
spot
fish and
here.
chips?
Sentence. Just think of any sentence.
G'day, mate. How about we throw some snags on the barbie?
G'day, mate.
I know one definitely comes to mind for me, but I mean that's gonna haunt my dreams for the rest of my life.
I know what you're talking about.
I think Sarah came up with the idea. She just started doing it, and we're at a restaurant, and we're sitting there, and we're running lines, and we're rehearsing, and then for some reason Sarah starts talking in this high-pitched baby voice, and she just keeps going and going, and Marco's like, "That's actually a great idea. Let's do that in the middle of a restaurant. Run the scene. Both you do baby voices."
It was so fun. We were just doing the scene. And then halfway I was like, let's just switch it up, and did baby voice, and it was so fun though. At some point it started to get to pretty much every night, I think. During the week.
Last week, yeah.
Because we started rehearsing early, 2 months in advance, right?
2 months, yeah. And then I think it was twice a week, and then I think it got up to almost every night, about a week or two out from filming.
As an AD, I really appreciated that, because when we got to filming then, because we had such a tight schedule, you guys were on it every scene. I didn't have to wait for you guys to rehearse and figure out what you were doing. So that was fantastic that you were able to take the time and rehearse.
Yeah, having that time to like get to know each other and just play around makes it so much easier and fun.
Hey Mom, how are you?
For whatever reason, her family had stopped inviting us over. This was very hard on her.
We're okay. Dad okay? Sure, I get that. I would love to see you both really soon, though. It's been a really long time. But Thursday is Thanksgiving. How can I not be with my family? But he is my husband. Okay. Abby, bye.
Hey, what's wrong?
I don't know, my dad is upset with both of us. Mom won't go into detail. She says we can't come to Thanksgiving.
What do you mean we can't come to Thanksgiving?
I don't know, that's all she said.
I can't say enough about their professionalism, the quality of their work, the dedication to their art. It speaks for itself in the film.
But as we got closer to production, and especially over the summer, people started dropping.
Over the summer, we had lost people to commitments, to misunderstandings of scheduling, or loss of interest. So our team went down from somewhere near 20 people, almost 30 people, to about 12 consistent crew members, which was a morale below, I guess. In some respects, we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to achieve our goal with such small of a crew.
People had told us all summer, they were going to help with the project, locations especially.
And did a lot of great work up front, helping us find houses and restaurants and things.
Because I was in North Carolina and I wasn't on the ground, I wasn't there, I couldn't see these places we were supposedly filming at.
So it's kind of funny leading up to principal photography with pre-production, because at first it seemed like we had a lot of things together and everything was going really smoothly. But then the closer we got to, principal photography, like we found out different crew members weren't actually available, or a location would drop or something would happen. We're like, oh no, like we can't actually count on that anymore.
Fairly late in the game, in July, things started falling apart. We were less than a month away from shooting, and basically we had to find all of our locations from scratch.
I remember having a very long 3-hour meeting with Andy and Rebecca we are about a week from T-0. Yikes, what do we do? It was a very brutal conversation, but very real and very good to have. And also, I think at that time, or a couple days before, Rebecca and I had talked about everything that we were going to do from the honeymoon, toss it back into principal photography. We're doing it.
So we get to the weekend before the shoot. Right before I get on the plane, I get a text that our main location for week 1 completely fell through. So I get on the plane. I go without Wi-Fi for 5 hours, just completely sweating it out the whole way across the country.
It seemed like we had so much time, and then all of a sudden we were like flying back to LA, and then there seemed like there was so much more to do, and I was like, oh goodness, how are we going to do this in like 3 days before we start shooting? And I didn't feel ready at all. And I was like, oh geez, and I had to like take a step back and kind of breathe and be like, no, we've done this before, it's going to be okay. And getting all the equipment together and making sure that all worked.
So I fly the whole way, being completely in the dark, not knowing how anything is happening on the ground. And I get to LAX, I land, Marco and Ellie pick me up, and on one level it was really comforting to actually physically be there and realize I'm here, we're gonna make this work, it's gonna be okay. At the same time, it was deathly terrifying because we were here and it was happening, and it had to actually work.
Day 1 began like any other day, with coffee being poured, stress abounding, and we were heading off to the coffee shop over in Whittier.
Oh, you're fine.
It was a small team, about 8 people. Andy, Rebecca, Connor, William, Ellie, Robert. I went over, schmoozed it up with the coffee barista saying, hey, this is us. We had called ahead. Are we still cool to film? Hey, do you mind turning down the music? Thank you so much. We're buying coffee. And we get going.
Yeah, our first day on set was very interesting because our first location, we didn't have a lot of freedom to set up lights, and audio kind of suffered because we couldn't turn off any of the music or really help them out anywhere with audio, and because we were filming in this cafe that had to stay open while we were filming.
It takes a little while. We have to wait for our talent. We secured our spot. We start filming. We get a couple shots off.
Rolling.
Shot one of the movie.
There's no sound.
Whereas 6, 12, 24 hours earlier, I was completely at a loss for. I had no idea how it was going to work. And then in those 48 hours, the crew, really God working through the crew and other people, really pulled it together. And it was an amazing, but really hard couple days.
Okay. Are you rolling? Okay.
Sound speeding.
Okay. Scene 10, alphabet, take 1, marker.
Despite all the stress leading up to Monday morning and day 1, actually seeing that red dot on the camera screen and hear myself call speeding was so surreal after building up to this for 9 months and really almost a year since October. Was weird. And I knew there were a lot of pieces that still had to fall in place later that week, and I was super stressed out still. But once we were going, it was happening, and we were making a movie.
We start filming, we get a couple shots off, and the manager comes over in the middle of a shot and says, hey, you guys can't, and I can't react to anyone else except for him. I have to defuse the situation because he came in hot and bothered and problematic. Everyone else, I'm assuming, is trying to figure out what to do, and I'm trying to go calm down the guy, and apparently we had just too much gear in the room, and we fixed the problem quickly, and we moved on. Mind you, we had like maybe 2 lights, maybe, and they were very small, portable, like maybe one's like this size, and the other one was maybe like this.
We're kind of limited, with lighting and like kind of where we could put camera as well. And so it was kind of like this closing feeling where we're like, dang, like I like to do this better, but we just can't. But then we went from that to filming at Biola, and we were shooting a concert scene. And then it was so nice because we could just spread out all the equipment. It was just us there. We could it was quiet, we could just concentrate, and we could put lights wherever we wanted, pretty much. So it was really nice to just get back into that film feel where you can really get creative with the location and really kind of own it for a little bit while you're shooting there.
Day 1 of Rubaru, we have lit the auditorium for the concert hall. So lit. We have bounced the Steadicam together. It is tutorial day, and then William leaves Tutorial Island tomorrow.
And that was actually a really special night because we did some pretty difficult scenes with camera movement because my brother was my first AC and he never had pulled focus before to that extent with the red camera. So I was teaching him that whole first week, how to build the red camera, all the accessories, what everything's called, tricks for pulling focus because I first AC a lot too. So I was trying to pass on all this knowledge. And Connor's also DP, so he was going over the red with William and teaching him. And we're trying to pump all this information to him for this first day of shooting, this first week. And he took it, he absorbed a lot of it and was really quick at getting it. That first effort, following Elizabeth into the auditorium or the lobby, was pretty tricky for him, and I kept trying to coach him, and then I was like, oh dear bro, I had to keep reminding myself that he didn't have the same experience that I did or that a lot of people on set did. So I was like, I have to be patient, I have to remember that William's not as experienced, he needs more practice.
Speeding.
And slate. Scene 9, Delta, take 4, marker.
Good slate.
Hold.
Okay, set.
The big Charles, Garrett, Chloe, Elizabeth, and we shot Elizabeth and Charles's first time meeting. What a moment. I was with Andrew, tucked in this corner, watching this monitor. Rebecca's on Steadicam. She whips the camera around, follows Elizabeth in to meet Charles. She goes in for an embrace, and just Charles's face is like, tuh! It's just a beautiful moment that warmed my heart. But night one was really just such a beautiful start to the film. Brought so much tenderness and so much love, but also one of the best rack focuses to date in modern cinema. I will brag about this because that makes me happy. So, story time. William Bleeko. That man is a godsend, and I love him to death. We were filming the scene where Charles gets hugged by Elizabeth. And it's towards the last couple shots. Andy is, of course, over being stressed out. Like, gotta be on time, gotta be on time, gotta be on time. I love that man a lot. We had words afterwards. No, we didn't. He's great. I wanted to reset because every time she was hugging him, we never racked focus to her face, her beautiful smile hugging him. And it was such a moment. I was like, can we please get that? Can we please? And he's like, okay, we can reset for one more. I'm like, great. My actress turns to me and says, hey, can I also get a reset for acting? I look over at Andy. I'm like, Andy, do we have time for one for rack focus and one for the acting? And he goes, one. I was so pissed. I was so upset because I wanted to do both. I wanted to get both. So I chose my actress's performance. I talked to her briefly, gave her some notes, some feedback. We reset, we shot it. I'm watching the monitor, I'm right behind the camera, and we get to the moment. She comes in for that hug, and miraculously, the focus racks with her face, and I have one of the most visceral air pumps you've ever seen. I was so ecstatic. I couldn't contain myself. I was so happy. The shot finished, and I think I can't remember. I was so vocal about my happiness about that shot.
Marco called cut on the last take, and we had got everything done we needed to for that day. And I just felt this immense sigh of relief that we had actually done the first day of 17. We shot 9 pages, almost a 10th of the entire film by page count. And I was just dead tired. And it was only day 1. I wanted to just sit down and breathe, but I knew Marco needed to do that, and we had to get gear out and out of the location, so I kept going. We got everything cleaned up and out pretty much on time.
We could paint outlines around all our bodies.
And then we could be dead.
That's good. Wow.
This is the film. It's called Rubaru.
Oh my gosh, best promo ever.
So much.
Support us, give us your money.
Give us the money. Place to crash.
Yeah, let's have a meeting.
Except we're not supposed to sleep over in the studio.
And then I think I slept probably better that night than almost any other night this year. For about like 5 hours, but they were the best 5 hours of sleep.
It was such a beautiful team moment, such a beautiful day. And it did not prepare us for day 2.